This whole thing started exactly a year ago, but just ended, and a friend told me to post here, so off we go. I live in Turkey, and as you know, the southeast of my country was wrecked by a couple of giant earthquakes a year ago. My city was the epicenter, and while the house I lived in with my family wasn't destroyed, a lot of shelves got knocked off. One of them was the one where I held my gunpla kits. Out of all the kits I had, only one survived, a MG the O that was heavily customized. I had built it with my grandfather who passed away a few years ago, so I was ecstatic it survived. A few months after everything had calmed down, my mother called her relatives for dinner, which included Aunt B, not for which. Her name does start with the letter B. She came alongside her son, who is 8, and is an entitled brat. While the adults were drinking coffee, this little brat barged into my room and demanded to play with my computer, which I refused since I was editing a video for my college society and had the camera on. Well, the brat went back crying to his mother, who came and started yelling at me. While I was dealing with her, her little brat climbed my desk, took my model kit, then immediately dropped it and stepped on it. The rest is just yelling, me swearing at them up and down, and telling them they were going to pay for it, with her calling me a weirdo for still having toys, and that she wasn't going to pay for anything. My mother was at first a bit hesitant to make her pay to keep peace, but when she realized it was the kit I made with my late grandfather, her father, she was angrier than I was and went out for blood. We took the case to a friend of ours who is a lawyer that specializes in family cases, and they told us since my camera caught it all, we would definitely win it. But it was better to come to an agreement out of court in a settlement, since it could be cheaper. I pulled out a price list of the kits I needed to make an exact replica of the one that was destroyed, and it came to about 1K USD, which came to about 25K, 27K try with the exchange rate. Well, she refused, so we took her to court. She pulled all kinds of nonsense to not pay and delay, but the judge ended up making her pay 650 USD, plus an order for her to pay any border taxes on the replacement kits alongside the court and lawyer fees. It completely messed up her savings, and her husband, who was already waiting for a chance to divorce her, took it. When it all ended, she had nothing and even lost her brat's custody to her ex-husband. She not only lost the down payment she had for a house, but she also lost all her savings and didn't get alimony from her husband. Am I happy her life got completely messed up? No, not really. Do I feel sorry it happened? Not in the slightest. She and her crotch goblin messed around and found out. It's that simple. I feel bad for her husband, though. He is going to be the one trying to make that brat into a normal person, and I don't envy it in the slightest. Now for a few important comments. Commenter: this is nuclear indeed, more because of the fallout than the blast itself. This is probably the best outcome possible for the little kid. I have always considered raising kids to be this way as a form of abuse, and it's really sad it happened to him. I hope he's able to recover from this. When asked about the relationship between his mother and the aunt, OP said, cousin by a degree. That cousin's mother was the sister of my mother's mother. That's the relation. And she basically banned anything about her near us when she realized what was the kid her child broke. On the price of the model kit, OP explained, it's an old kit not reprinted in a long time, so all the ones that are sold now are sold by people that sell them at a big profit. And since most other places don't deliver to Turkey, I looked at the few that do, and the cheapest one I saw was at eBay at 700 USD back then. When you add the border tax, that's around 30 to 40% of the kit's price, and the prices of other kits needed to do the same customizations I had done on the original, it easily passes 1K. Commenter: in all fairness, it was her kid who was a brat. Aunt just wanted OP to let her feral child play on his computer, so she would get a break from him for a bit. Kid decided to punish OP by destroying the kit. But also, while I can't speak for Turkish law, in the US the statute is to make you whole. OP had a fairly valuable collector's item destroyed and has every right to having that exact kit replaced. Not a refund of the amount he originally spent, but that specific collectible. And if it's gone up in value over the years, then, well, that's why you should teach your child to respect other people's things. OP responded, "We do have something called replacement value, which basically includes everything needed to remake the thing that got destroyed, including handiwork. For example, let's say you bought a 20K car years ago, and now it's worth 100K. But you also had it very well taken care of. So getting one in that exact condition is 200K. If someone destroys that car or damages it to the point where repairs will cause it to lose too much value, they have to pay 200K plus any additional handiwork or tax payments." When asked if everything is okay in his area due to the earthquakes, OP said, "Yeah, it was maddening. My city, Gaziantep, gets a few small ones every few years, but nothing to this degree. I remember seeing the next building to our house bend like a straw and collapse in the middle. It was horrifying. I don't remember how I did it because I had gone to sleep only minutes before the earthquake started, but I somehow got fully dressed and picked up both my laptop and my PS5 with any cables or mouse, etc., while my family could barely put their jackets on. It's all a blur. 1 second I had fallen off the bed because of the shaking, and the next I was in the car with my family with my laptop and PS5 on my lap. I can't lie, coming back a week or so later and seeing our house still standing, then getting the test results that it wasn't damaged in the earthquakes, was one of the happiest moments in my life. Now for the 5-month update. Hey, I'm not sure if this is how updates are done in this subreddit, but the situation continued, and some people were asking for updates, so here it goes. Well, the time the judge gave my aunt to pay what she owed me came and went, but she didn't make any payment at all, so we legally had to push the case into legal collection. Cops went to her house, but she wasn't there. She was in her house but didn't make any noise, so cops had to leave and get a search permit to enter to look for her. They found her inside, having sold everything and ready to illegally leave the country to not pay anything and start a new life abroad. When they were apprehending her, she attacked the cops, actually clawed the eye of one, causing permanent damage and adding multiple charges to her file. She was taken to court again, this time for more crimes, alongside not making a payment in time the court told her last time. I'm not sure if I can legally list all the things she was charged with, but in the end she got 18 years and 9 months jail time with no chance of parole until the 15th year. And yes, since she had sold her everything to leave the country, the court took the amount she had to pay us, recalculated to today's tax numbers and exchange rates, before putting the rest of the money in an account that her son would get when he is 18. As for her brat, in the first post I had told that when her husband divorced her, he had gotten custody. Well, the kid's personality was so bad he took him to a psychiatrist, which decided because of my aunt's shitty parenting, he was showing personality issues. He is now in a pre-military boarding school for troubled kids, which he hates completely. As for the money, I would love to say I used it to get the parts necessary to remake that kit, but I had to put it in a savings account. The government recently changed border tax systems, so the previous money became a substantial amount with the new numbers, like hilariously so. As much as I would love to spend it all on Gunpla, I have to think about the future, so it's going to stay in a savings account getting fatter by the day until I graduate. Now for a few important comments. When asked how the money works for the family, put in an account for Aunt's son, OP said, since she got 18 years, her son will be 18 before she is out. That's why her son will get access to that money before her. But for example, let's say something happened to her kid and he never became 18 years old. She would get access to that money when she gets out of jail. That's what our lawyer told us how that whole thing works. I might have explained it a bit wrong. I'm not a lawyer, and my knowledge about laws is just, don't do these things. Then, OP clarified on how the money is being accessed once a child turns 18. It doesn't work like that. But since she had sold her everything and liquidated them, all she has to her name is that money. The rule is like that in case she doesn't live long enough to be let out of prison, either from a sickness or something else. It changes by case to case. Not all cases get this treatment. A lawyer can explain this better, but I guess this was made because she had a heart attack a few years ago, and that was in her medical records. It's not the norm, but the outlier. Am I the idiot for canceling my wedding after finding out my fiancé was cheating with the guy she wanted in our threesome? So, this is quite a long and sad story that I need to vent as is really hard for me to deal with so far. I, 24M, recently proposed to my now ex-fiancé, 23F, after 2 years of dating. We met by mutual friends at work. We started talking as friends. We went on dates, and on New Year's Eve, we officially started dating. During the beginning of our relationship, she mentions this guy, Marvin. According to her, Marvin has always had a crush on her, and during the first months of our relationship, he texted her several times asking her to leave me and give him a chance. We used to say how pathetic this guy was and how she despises him for suggesting she would leave me for him. I must clarify, I'm nothing special. I'm a 5'4" Asian nerdy guy. Time goes by, and after 2 years of dating, I decided to propose to her. So, on New Year's Eve, I gave her the ring and she said yes in front of her whole family. I have some money saved. She doesn't work, so I started looking for venues, catering, invitations, decor, and everything. I spent a high amount of money as her parents are not in the position to help with the expenses, and I have enough savings to go through this comfortably. One day, while we're running errands, we started talking about having a threesome. We are in our 20s, so there's a lot of things we want to try. We discussed for a while on how we could find someone, and she quickly says, "I have someone in mind." I asked who, and she replies with, "Marvin." I know that was the first red flag, but I let it pass. I asked why him, and she just answered she was sexually attracted to him. I asked about why she would say she hated him first and then choose him as her first option for a threesome, and she replies it is only a one-time thing. So I told her it was okay, but we needed to talk later to set rules, limits, and I would like to talk to him personally before giving the green light. During the next couple of days, she's acting really excited, and she comes to me showing me hotels and when are we going to meet with him and how exciting everything is. I told her we need to talk things first, as it is not as easy as it sounds, and we need to have some limits. After that, she calmed down for a day or two and started to bring the subject up again. We reached a point where she insisted so much and brought the subject up so many times, I ended up saying to her that she either calms down or no threesome is going to happen. She apologized and mentioned I was right, but something didn't feel right. That afternoon, we were having a nap, and while she was sleeping, I went through her phone, and I found how she was cheating on me with him for a couple of months now. They have been meeting while I was working, and she even sent him one of those BDSM tests you can find online to see if his kinks matched with hers. To say I was furious is an understatement. She woke up while I was checking the phone, and I confronted her. She started crying, saying she was sorry and how she didn't know what she was doing. I packed my things and stormed out to stay at a hotel. That night, I got a call from her parents saying how I was ruining the engagement and acting like a baby while I was the one who brought up the topic of the threesome and how their daughter wasn't at fault. I hung up without saying anything and started canceling everything I had for the wedding. She called me the next day, apologizing and asking me to come back. Her whole family is sending texts asking me to man up, as I was the one at fault and not break the engagement. Now for a few important comments. Commenter 1, not the idiot. Just tell her family it's their fault they never taught her how to count. How else did she get having a threesome wrong? Commenter 2, not the idiot. She probably told her family you brought up a threesome and then got mad at her for picking someone to be the third. She probably didn't mention she had been cheating on you. Send them one text. She has been cheating on me for months. My decision is final. Stop texting me. Then block them. Hey guys, thanks for everyone's advice. I appreciate the support and the mean comments. Both perspectives were helpful. Now let me address just a few things before continuing. 1. Yes, the post has grammatical errors. English is not my first language. 2. My ex stopped working to go to college. We met at work, but she quit once we moved in together. 3. Yes, my now ex-fiancé told her parents we were breaking up because I suggested the threesome and got mad when she mentioned Marvin, and her parents believed her. 4. Yes, I needed reassurance to make sure I was not the one at fault. I have been conditioned all my life to be a doormat, so it is hard to stand for myself. Here's the update. After seeing all your messages, I reached out to my father-in-law, so we agreed to meet at a nearby mall to talk about the reasons why I broke the engagement. I did have a good relationship with him as we both share the same interests and hobbies, so I figured we could have a conversation. We met, and even though he looked mad, he agreed to listen. I did take screenshots of the conversations my ex-fiancé had with Marvin, and I showed them to him. After looking at everything he told me, my ex gave them a totally different story. According to what he told me, my ex went to them crying, saying I was breaking the engagement because I wanted to have a threesome. And once she picked Marvin as the third, I snapped at her. He also mentioned Marvin has been going to check on my ex since my ex has been staying with them after we broke up. We went to my apartment and packed all of her belongings to move her out. The ring was at the apartment as well, so I kept it. We're on our way to drop everything to her right now. I will keep you guys updated. Now for a few important comments. Commenter 1. As Shakespeare said, all's well that ends well. At least her family knows the truth now. Cheating and lying go hand in hand. I'm not surprised that she lied to her parents. Good on you for having proof. 3. Glad you got the ring back and got her moved out. Now you need to cut off all contact with her and her family. Move on and meet someone else. Am I the idiot for confronting my mother about her affair and the truth about my brother's paternity? Hello, my parents divorced when I was 3. They just didn't think they loved each other anymore and started dating other people. My mom got married after 2 years when I was 5 and gave birth to my half-brother 2 years after that. My father married when I was 11, but they didn't have any kids. I live with my mom on work days and live on weekends with my dad. I have a very good and healthy relationship with both parents and my brother. I wanted to do those 23andMe tests, since the only thing I know about my ancestry is that my dad is Russian. I was talking to my now 18-year-old brother and asked him if he wanted to do it with me. And he said yeah, so I sent 2 samples to the lab, and the results came yesterday, and I opened them. And as the title says, we are full biological siblings. I can't be my stepfather's child because my ancestry obviously indicates that I am half East European, Russian, and other parts of Europe, which my stepfather clearly isn't. And my half-siblings, well, now full sibling, I guess, ancestry is similar to my ancestry. So that could only mean that my brother is my dad's son. I really don't see the similarity between him and my dad, but maybe it's because my brother is a twin of my mom. So my mom cheated on my stepfather with my dad after saying that they didn't love each other anymore? What? But I don't want to jump into conclusions, and I will ask my mom about this today when I get out of work, so wish me luck. Now for a few comments. Commenter, I would get a test for you and your father first. DNA tests will show that siblings are related, but their level of relatedness can vary. I wanted to say that I really appreciate your support, and I would like to answer some questions before I continue. Yes, my father is my biological dad, not just because he is Russian, but because we have taken a DNA test for another thing. Not because my dad thought I wasn't his, so get it out of your head. And he is actually the best dad ever. No, Mom didn't cheat on my dad in their relationship. My stepfather is very Italian with the accent and everything. Both me and my brother don't have a speck of Italian in the results. His mother would come from Italy and visit us. No, there is no third shooter. Now let's go to the actual update. Me and my mom have this tradition where we spend the evening together like a girls' night every once in 2 months. I asked her if we could do it tonight, and she said yes. I got to her home, and we did what we usually do. Bake something, eat the baked something, while watching a movie of my choice, and talk about things while wearing a weird facial mask. I decided that since the mood is so cool, why not ask her the question? I was like, hey Mom, you know about those 23andMe tests, right? She didn't, so I started giving a speech about the test. After explaining it, I told her I did it with Jordan, my brother, and it came out weird. She asked what I meant by weird. I told her that the test said that we are fully related to one another, and I kinda laughed, but she stayed quiet. It was wrong, right? I asked her. She got angry at me and asked why I did the test with my brother without asking her first. That's when the realization hit me. I got defensive and asked her if she was serious. She apologized and just sat there for a minute or two. She told me that it was a one-time mistake. So basically, 19 years ago, I was in my dad's home napping. Mom came to take me, but I was sleeping, and Dad told her that she could come later and take me, or stay and pack my things before I left to her home. She stayed, and they ended up doing the dirty, I guess. Don't let anyone tell you that sleeping doesn't save lives, because it created my brother's lull. I was pissed at Mom and Dad and asked her how she could do that. She said that it was an accident, and they have never done it after that day, and she didn't even know that my brother was my dad's until now. I was angry at both of them. They don't understand how much of a problem this could create. My brother literally had a fat crush on my cousin from my dad's side, well, now our dad, I guess, but it faded away. Jesus Christ, I even helped him flirt with her. I don't even know what to say. I am still too shocked and disgusted. Jordan literally spent years learning Italian just to speak to his grandma. I think I need a proper DNA test without my brother knowing to get some kind of closure. Does OP's stepfather believe he's Jordan's father, and if he was told of the DNA results? Yes, he thinks he is his dad, and no, we didn't. Wow, what a bombshell. It's understandable that you're feeling shocked and disgusted. This revelation changes everything, and it's going to take some time to process. I am sorry your family is going to be forced to deal with the one-time mistake your mom and dad made. I am sorry your brother and his dad, the man who raised him, are the ones who are going to pay for it the most. To learn your mom cheated is hard, but to learn your son is not yours, and your wife cheated with her ex is going to destroy him. To learn your dad is not your bio dad because your mom cheated is going to destroy your brother. I know you, OP, feel this is hard for you, but it is going to be so much harder for your brother. Stick together and hold tight to your relationship.